Hi, I'm Lisa Starr. This is Natural Time, a YouTube version of my podcast, which you can find on any platform, Mayan astrology for a modern age. And I try to orient this to beginners because I've been teaching for 25 years, and the podcasts that I do are kind of self-indulgence, where I just talk about what I'm observing, but I think sometimes it can be really complicated or convoluted to jump into. So while this isn't going to be like a tutorial about the very basics, I want to keep things really simple, and I will remind myself of that. That's why I'm saying it here at the front end. So currently today is called Blue Magnetic Night, and it is the first day of the Blue Night wave spell. And it is also, the receding moment behind us is the white dog wave spell. So you can feel this shift, the shift away from what we've been immersed in for 13 days. A wave spell in this case is 13 days long. A wave spell is a kind of crazy, not Mayan term, but I love it. It's one of the things that keeps me very, very attached to the calendar itself, is thinking about time as not linear or, tracked in a grid like our Gregorian calendar, but as in motion and as part of nature itself. Like nature sounds like, well, it's the sky, it's the earth, it's the sea, but nature is, I guess, in my mind, just the idea that behind all of our human constructs or our human concerns is something vast. It is sort of earthen, oriented to where we live, this planet Earth, but it's how the Earth is interfacing with the galaxy, the solar system, and responding. And in nature, then, something that feels natural is when my human body and my human being, my consciousness, is aligned to some larger energy frequencies. And one of them is that things are circular in motion instead of straight. When we walk down the street, we can feel like we're moving in a straight line. We can have that intention, but everything we do unconsciously is constantly cycling, whether it's our breath or our heart coursing blood through our bodies. And in that circularity, there's a curve, right? Waves are curved. A wave spell also moves us forward. So what a wave spell is, kind of in terms of shape to me, is a circle that's stretched out over a length of distance. So it's not just like going around and coming back to where we started. Instead, it's going around while we move forward. And I've never said that before, but I think it's a really good picture of what a waveform is. It's something that's rounded that also is elongated. So the way the wave spell feels, 13 days of moving, is just like building around to a peak and then letting that peak collapse the way a wave does, but kind of touching back where we began in terms of like altitude. So the wave takes us like high into the sky and then we fall back to earth. But all of that to me still is a complete cycle. The cycle took us soaring and then we came back down, a bit of crashing, but we're unscathed. We fall back to earth. We're not hurt. We're just humbled. Anyway, I love it. I love it. I live for it. And I've been really enjoying being like a senior citizen in this lineage. I'm not that old, but I am old enough to have been following the cycles for so long that I just feel like, yeah, right on. I'm in it. And I'm absorbed still. So come join me. This is a beautiful wave spell that we're entering. I know that sometimes one of my sort of expectation is like, this is going to be amazing, that I have more to learn. I have to learn, like, on the other side of amazing is daunting or excruciating. But here's what I love about the Blue Night wave spell. It's basically about dreaming. It's about the part of our mind or consciousness that isn't reduced to reality. It's like when we fall asleep and dream, I have pretty mundane dreams, but they are not like being awake. You know, I'm touching in with people that I never see, or strangers, or I'm in locations I don't remember ever being in. I'm not usually like in a fantasia, you know, like a sci-fi adventure, but nonetheless, it's a frequency that just feels paranormal. And it's for 8 hours, or maybe if it's only in the deepest part of our sleep, it's like a sizable part of our life is spent there. And what this calendar teaches, as do any shamanic practices, is you can also do that when you're awake. You know, you can be really committed to an alternate universe of experiential existence while awake. And that's what our intuition does for us. And I call that magic and mysticism. Just when you're moving through life feeling like, no, it's not just this basic sidewalk existence. It's also got like really, it's orchestrated by something much more elevated or interdisciplinary. You know, it's not just what I see, it's also what I sense. And it's what I sense from long ago that's entering this moment. Or it's something in the future I haven't experienced, but I have a feeling about. Like that, to me, is a broader, more magical way to experience life. And I think that blue night, this wave spell, or this totem, the day sign of blue night, is just, it's such an easy access point. If you want to live a more indigenous life, whatever that means, like something more ancient, you know, not modernized, not distracted by all our modern conveniences and preoccupations, then just really give yourself over to what your dream life is like. That's such a start. There's a lot in our culture now about like getting really good sleep, because sleep and rest is so good for stress. You can sleep away the day's troubles and wake refreshed. Like, so yes, sleep really well, but I add to that, be really interested in your dreaming. And then you can also like take a class or watch some other YouTube video and learn how to meditate your way into the dream state when you're awake. And that would be really supported right now. I do that primarily by following Mayan calendar astrology, because then my consciousness is on things that are paranormal or totemic all the time. And then I'm kind of like living there. Blue night originally, it's a hieroglyph, right? That's how these calendars were rediscovered, is that the hieroglyphs were carved in the Mayan temples that were excavated archaeologically. And the day sign, as it was kind of, I mean, it was a bit recalibrated when it came back, you know, in the 80s. A man named Jose Arguelles, who was Mexican American, so he had some personal authority in his ethnicity to go back and revisit the Mayan teachings and bring them into a modern life experience. And his discipline is what I follow. Like, I didn't know him, but I follow his teaching, and that's what we call natural time. So we're not like calling it the Mayan calendar as if we have an authority that's equal to any existing Maya. It's more like natural time is an alternative to artificial time, and natural time is based on Mayan teachings. The teaching about the day signs shows us a hieroglyph for each of the 20 days, which match our fingers and toes, and the hieroglyph for blue night is like parted tent flaps. So it's like enter the gateway of a sleeping space, a tent, a sanctuary. Inside you'll find coals to warm you. And really all it represents is a safe enough place to spend your night as a vulnerable human in a time when things were more dangerous, whether it was from the elements there was danger, or animals or enemies. And you would be able to relax so deeply in that sleeping state where you were safe that you could dream. And you can imagine, before TV, let alone internet or every modern convenience that allows escapism that we're familiar with, indigenous people thought dreaming was pretty badass in terms of a technicolor entertainment experience. So being safe enough to dream was a luxury, or something to be grateful for. The word abundance has been attached to blue night because of that, because an abundant life is one where you are safe, you have a sanctuary or a shelter, and you can live not just in your survival mind, your reptilian mind, but your more expansive mind where you can dream or imagine and be teleported somewhere. And that is the definition of abundance that I use. It came up through New Age teachings because the Mayan teachings in natural time were very affiliated with the New Age movement. In the beginning, we used to have a more, I think, loud New Age movement when we only had books and we didn't have the internet, because there were New Age bookstores and New Age teachers that had more, like they were luminaries, because we didn't have the capacity to just look at each other on videos and social media sites. So in that time, all of these teachings were just jammed into the New Age part of life experience. And having been in that, I would say that the word abundance is one of these like really happy, glossy portrayals of what you can do if you're a metaphysical person, is create abundance for yourself. And that abundance doesn't end up being provided just enough to, you know, be content and relaxed and safe in a home. Abundance ends up looking like having, you know, like Rajneesh had like 80 Rolls Royce cars. He was a guru. So that's not the level of abundance that I would ever want anyone who thinks of me as a teacher to be seeking to acquire, because that's excess. So abundance to me, I really anchor the word and the concept for myself. I just really respond well based on my upbringing and my childhood, which had some trauma around housing. I just think like, yeah, a home where you feel safe, you kind of enjoy being, you go inside the doors and you feel sheltered, not just from the rain and the sunlight, but also maybe from the frequency of humanity that is uncomfortable. That's abundance to me. Of course, being able to pay for it is key, but do we need more? Do we need 2 shelters or 5? Do we need, etc.? Do we need all the bells and whistles on every level? I don't think that's what Blue Night is. Blue Night, this time that we're in, is, I think, a reframe to just come back to really being grateful or aware that little gifts go a long way. And one thing you will notice that happens in this wave spell, just by the nature of the magic, I mean, it might not happen, but it has so far for me, is that you will feel like you're given something that is a reward, a material reward. Like the example that I use, although this hasn't happened, but it happened once when I was little. We were very poor when I lived with my mom, and I was riding my bike with a kind of magician man. He was like a very out there, hippy-dippy, ex-Christian monk. Anyway, he took me for a bike ride, quite a distance. I think we were just not able to drive, so I rode along with him. And as we were riding along, I remember this is going to be in the 70s, I found $1 on the side of the road. Like, I was a country road, and it had flown out of someone's car, clearly, and it was in a ditch. Maybe he found it, but I mean, I ended up with it, and I felt so rich. It went a lot farther back then, but I just mean, like, for a kid who was poor, it was true magic. And I always use that story for myself, and maybe you, about Blue Night and what it feels like. It feels amazing. You have recognition of how blessed, lucky, seen, you know, by divinity you are when you get a little like treat or reward. So whether it's finding money in the pocket of your clothes, I don't know, or it could be way bigger. Like, it could be way bigger than that. There's like financial reward in some way, or material reward that happens in Blue Night. And it makes some people, I guess, want to wish it were Blue Night all the time. But we have 20-day signs, and we move through them in order to be balanced. So if one in life, I'm not accusing you, aspires to always be abundant, everyone every day to be an abundance day, well, that is completely extreme and out of balance. Whether you're New Age or you're a Wall Street broker, that's not right. We rotate through 20-day signs, and there's probably one of scarcity that's like White World Bridger is about death, and I think there's loss built into that. And White Mirror is about the human sacrifice ritual, which certainly is about enacting loss in order to be closer to God. So we learn about gifts of abundance from the heavens, and we learn about things being taken away, and then we're in balance, and there's all these other delights in between. So right now I just talk about it because the Tzolk'in, the 260-day full calendar cycle that includes 20 wave spells of 13 days, one for each of the totems or day signs, we call them tribes. There are hard, gnarly parts to get through, and there are parts that feel lighter and more accommodating to what we want in our human egos, or what we're accustomed to societally. So hard times are going to be a White Mirror wave spell about experiencing what it's like to revisit sacrifice and heartbreak. Not only that, but aspects of that. And White World Bridger is another wave spell that comes early on in the Tzolk'in that is about death for 13 days. And you just have to learn in that time that death, losing something, opens up a place for a new beginning to start, just like winter is before spring. So those are harder, though, for the human mind. Like, I don't like loss, and I don't like winter or whatever. And then, I want to get to spring, and I want to get to the gift of what comes after loss. And, this is it. We're in it. This is the gift of what comes after doing the hard work in the Tzolk'in of learning how to let go. And now we receive. It's not perfect. I love staying in touch. That's why I podcast 3 times a week, just on the audio and here, because I really want everyone to know that any hard day is allowed. You're allowed to have suffering. And there's a reason in the astrology. It can explain it. It's real. It comes from the ascended Maya. They're powerful somewhere. They were powerful on Earth. The Mayan vibe was powerful on Earth, and it's powerful wherever they spiritually congregate now. So when you follow these calendars, you get to be in something quite masterful, and you will see and feel the truth of the days passing. You'll be responding to them with your body and your experience. And that means you're caught in the magic, and there is relief. And that's why I'm kind of here. Like, if you're having a hard day, this is why, and it's going to pass. It's just that I believe that right now we're in the time where it is a little less hard. So enjoy it. So again, today's the first day of a 13-day wave spell celebrating Blue Night, which is a time of abundance and dreaming and intuition. And those are all, to me, those are the things that make my eyes sparkle. Dreaming and intuition, and then abundance after that, but alongside it. Like, I'll take the abundance if I can have it alongside dreaming and intuition. Anyway, I'm probably setting myself up to be like super bummed out, as if like, this is the best time ever. And then like, there'll be some shitty thing that happens right when I finish this recording. But if so, I'll be talking about it tomorrow on, again, I think I'm mostly on Spotify and Apple, and that I haven't joined a couple of the others, but I'm not a tech head. I'm no tech bro. But I am happy to be here again. I missed last week, and I'm back. Enjoy it. I'm Lisa Starr. I am another yourself, and in Mayan we say, in Lakesh.